More than 2 decades later, during medical school and residency, I found myself unprepared to face the mortality and suffering of my patients. Though my father's words echoed in the back of my consciousness, reminding me that death is both natural and certain, as a medical student, I focused solely on preserving life. I began to believe that a longer life was a better life. A doctor's job was to manipulate, control, and postpone death, not to accept it as inevitable. We learned to rage against the dying of the light. I savored the victories, the times when I could treat a terrible pneumonia or diagnose a new and treatable cancer. But sometimes I wondered if my efforts simply prolonged death instead of returning my patients to the quality of life they assumed our treatments could restore. Though I could mobilize an array of remarkable modern technologies to keep a patient alive, I hadn't the slightest clue how to acknowledge or discuss what all ancient civilizations could articulate and even embrace, the certain end we would all face. I hadn't expected that my years of medical training would culminate in the choice to pursue palliative medicine, a relatively new specialty focused on treating the pain and suffering of patients living with a serious illness that often cannot be cured. Although people for centuries have suffered and died from terminal illness, the American Board of Medical Specialties didn't recognize hospice and palliative medicine as a distinct medical subspecialty until 2006. I also hadn't expected that, in choosing a field that embraces and addresses the human suffering and mortality that Western medicine overlooks and at times denies, I would come to a different and new understanding of medicine's role in our lives. My work in the borderland between life and death has shown me how we, doctors, patients, families, talk around rather than about suffering, dignity, living, and dying. We rely on euphemism, silence, and jargon when we most acutely need to be clear and articulate. Medicine must find new language to discuss and destigmatize this experience that all of humanity shares. Our silence and avoidance have resulted in much unnecessary anguish. The principles of palliative medicine have the capacity to transform medical practice by offering patients and doctors alike useful and probing language that could change the way we communicate about illness and end of life, both within our homes and in hospitals. This book is my humble attempt to inspire tough but necessary conversations in hopes of easing the suffering associated with the silence around mortality. On a more personal note, tending to my patients has also shifted the meaning of my own life, forcing me to reevaluate what matters most to me and to reconsider what it means to live and love well. My hope is that the stories of my patients, colleagues, and family may free us all to acknowledge that a deeper understanding and embrace of our own mortality may actually revitalize how we live and what we consider to be most meaningful in each of our brief lives. For we will each age and die, as my father told me years ago. We will lose the people we love. No matter our ethnicity, place of residence, income, religion, or skin color, our human lives are united by brevity and finitude and the certainty of loss. Just as we strive for dignity and purpose throughout our lives, well before the light fades, we can bring the same dignity and purpose to our deaths as we each journey into our own good night.
Part 1. Between Two Dark Skies. 1. Shift. San Francisco, 2010. Donna was in her mid-60s, with wide brown eyes and the smoky voice of a jazz singer. Her skin, sprinkled with freckles and sunspots, stretched tightly against her